Hi there guys, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about two countries that I've lived in, and it's a bit of a great debate on the expat forums. And the two countries I'm talking about are the Philippines and Thailand. And these pop up a lot, especially on expat forums where people are considering moving to a place for the long term, possibly for retirement. But I want to also frame it in terms of perhaps a gap year, a place where you can go and make your money go a little bit further and spend a year. Also, if you're a digital nomad or even an international teacher like myself, what does the Philippines offer, and conversely, what does Thailand offer? It's a great debate. I've lived in both, and I'm currently living in Thailand, and in fact the Philippines was the first international school that I worked at, so I've sort of got vested interests in these two countries, and if you stick around to the end, I'll give you my completely unbiased opinion. Which is the best in 2025, the Philippines or Thailand? All right, let's get started. Any good teacher needs some criteria to assess something, and therefore we need to have something to sort of have as our starting point and our measuring stick. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with cost of living, but then we're going to move into factors like quality of life. We're going to look at the natural environment. We're going to look at friendliness. We're going to look at communication, infrastructure, healthcare, ease of getting a visa if you want to retire. And we're even going to look into things like natural disasters and all of the things that you probably need to be thinking about if you really are considering moving to either Thailand or the Philippines. So in terms of cost of living, really important, obviously. And I did some research. I went into that website that people mostly use, Numbeo, I think it's called. And it actually surprised me a little to tell me that the Philippines is cheaper overall in terms of cost of living. I know a lot of people in the Philippines probably disagree with that, but generally speaking, rent is cheaper, food is cheaper, but these things are all relative in terms of how you decide to live your life and obviously the part of the city that you live in. So you probably have a pretty comfortable quality of life in the Philippines for between $1,500 and $2,000 US. That might surprise some people, but of course you can live on 3 times as much if you want and have a great quality of life, or you can live on half as much depending upon what makes you happy. In Thailand, you're probably looking more at 2,000 to 2,500, but again, you can live a very extravagant, expensive lifestyle if you want to as well. And of course, accommodation is a big part of that. Where I'm living here in Bangkok, I'm walking around my condo complex right now, and I'm only paying 18,000 Thai baht. So let's now look at quality of life, and quality of life can really consider lots of different things. It might relate to the quality of housing that you're living in, it might relate to infrastructure, it might relate to basically the ability to do the things that you really want to do, things even like internet speed and that kind of thing. And it depends on your own personal, I guess, preference in terms of the things you want to do. If I was to look at infrastructure though, definitely Thailand comes out on top in terms of infrastructure. Transport systems around the city, especially in Bangkok, are excellent. We have the BTS, we have the MRT, we have buses, we have tuk-tuks, and transport is pretty efficient. In the Philippines, a nation of islands, it can be challenging sometimes to travel around. You can travel on jeeps very cheaply, jeepneys, but it doesn't have that infrastructure that Thailand has in terms of the mass transport with regards to underground trains especially. And so travel in general is very easy and very comfortable in Thailand, so I would definitely put Thailand a little ahead of the Philippines in that regard. Other factors that relate to quality of life, you might consider things like air quality, in which case Thailand might drop down a little bit. There are air quality issues here regularly. I've not known of those to be too much of a problem in the Philippines, except of course sort of smog from traffic, which is a different kind of air pollution that can be a problem, and the jeepneys have been blamed for that, and they've sort of been trying to phase out the jeepneys in some places in the Philippines. So quality of life, lots of different things to consider there, and I'd say it's very much dependent upon your preferences in terms of what would give you the highest quality of life. I'd say the quality of housing in the Philippines isn't quite as good as in Thailand, but it is a little cheaper. internet speed isn't as fast in the Philippines as it is in Thailand. It's a real strength of Thailand. In fact, it's a part of their infrastructure. So not only just their mobile phone networks, but their broadband internet, it really is super fast, which is why digital nomads really thrive here. All right, next category. We're going to talk about the people, and we're going to talk about friendliness and communication. Now, both of these places have been claimed to be the friendliest place in the world. And Thailand, in fact, is known as the land of smiles. But I've always talked very favourably about the friendliness of the Filipino as well. And this is probably a good opportunity for me to put in a disclaimer, which I really should have put at the beginning, shouldn't I? So my wife is from the Philippines, and we actually just bought a small studio unit in Cebu in the Philippines. So we certainly have a connection to the Philippines with family, and that helps me in terms of the friendliness of the place and being able to communicate with people that I know. In terms of general friendliness, it's hard to imagine people being any more friendly than the Thai people. And I've found this in Southeast Asia in general, places I've travelled around here, places like Vietnam and Laos, some of the friendliest people in the world, Cambodia as well. And the Philippines also, extremely friendly, and being able to communicate in English makes that even more obvious, I suppose. So culturally, the two countries are very different. The Philippines is predominantly Christian, and English is very widely spoken, certainly in the cities. In the provinces, less so, but everyone does have a basic mastery of English, I would suppose you could say. And very different culture in terms of obviously religion as well. The Philippines very Christian, based on Spanish colonization. So you've got the Christianity, mainly Catholicism. You've got English being very widely spoken, and some of the friendliest people in the world. Compare that to Thailand, again, extremely friendly, but English just isn't spoken as much. And so that can be a challenge in terms of communication. Even where I'm living here, where there are lots of foreigners, it's often really, really difficult to communicate with the staff that are working here, for example. But the culture is probably more interesting for me, I would say, in terms of it being Buddhist. And you're always surrounded by temples and just really interesting little pieces of culture that I really, really enjoy, because I find it so different and so interesting. In terms of, I suppose, friendliness, it's probably a tie, but there's a huge advantage for the Philippines that English is so widely spoken. So in terms of that criteria, I would definitely put that in the favour of the Philippines. However, as I hinted to a moment ago, in terms of culture, I just find Thailand more interesting. So if we're talking about culture and cultural experiences for a foreigner, especially a Western foreigner who is quite familiar with many of the things that you'll see in the Philippines, but much less familiar with the things that you'll experience in Thailand. So in terms of culture, if you're looking for a cultural experience, I would definitely give a big tick to Thailand for culture. Healthcare is really important if you're spending a long amount of time in a place, and I'm really lucky that I get healthcare provided for me. And living in Thailand, as well as getting it provided for me, I do know it's a really high quality of healthcare. In fact, health tourism is a big thing here. People travel to Thailand for operations. I had a friend, a British friend who lives in Hong Kong, who came here for a knee surgery operation last year. It's just so much cheaper, and the quality is amazing. Hospitals like Bomramgrad and Brahma 9, where I get my medical done every year. The Philippines, I'd say it's reasonably good quality. I remember going to the dentist quite a lot there, and dental care was quite good and very, very cheap. But definitely you would give a big tick in favour of Thailand for healthcare. Healthcare is probably even more important if you're in that retirement age category, as I'm getting closer and closer to. So I'm considering retirement in one of these two places myself. And one thing you have to look at is the ease of getting a retirement visa. So the retirement visa in Thailand, it's a very common thing for foreigners to retire here. You have to put in around about $25,000 in terms of a sort of a deposit. It has to be in a Thai bank account, and it has to be renewed every year. So after a certain amount of time you can take it out, but if you want to renew your retirement visa, you have to put it back in. So it's a little challenging. You've also got these rules in Thailand with regards to Having to sort of confirm where you live every 90 days, this 90-day report thing can be a bit of a hassle. The Philippines is a little easier. It's a little easier and it's a little cheaper. The deposit's more like 10,000 to 20,000 US dollars you would have to put into a bank account and maintain. Climate, well, both places are tropical, so you're going to get hot weather all year long, hot and wet, and it varies slightly throughout the year. And in both places you can escape the heat. In some places you go to Baguio, the summer capital of the Philippines, if you want to escape the heat, and it is considerably cooler there, and I lived there. That was my first international school, was in Baguio. And in Thailand you can do something similar in Chiang Mai, where you can get up a little bit higher and the weather is a little bit cooler. But generally speaking, it's going to be hot all year long and you will have a wet season. Now, I'm experiencing the wet season here in Thailand right now, and I must say it's not that bad. It's not consistent rain all day long for weeks on end at all. It's normally a big downpour, and then it clears and the sun comes out again, and it's quite pleasant. Philippines can be a little bit more, I guess, long-term in terms of the wet season, and my experience there was that it would often rain continuously for longer periods of time than what I have experienced so far here in Thailand. This is my third year in Thailand now, that I've just completed my third year. So in terms of climate, very similar. I would just say the wet season doesn't seem quite as bad in Thailand, so a pretty close call there, but maybe Thailand just edges it slightly. And if I want to include natural disasters as a part of that, sure, it does flood a fair bit in Thailand, but it doesn't seem as extreme as some of the things that have happened in the Philippines, with major flooding in recent times and landslides and those kinds of things. Earthquakes are really rare here, though we did have one just a couple of months ago, which was a bit scary for some, but earthquakes are much more common in the Philippines, and there have even been volcanic eruptions in the Philippines as well that have caused havoc. So natural disasters are worse in the Philippines. It's a nation of islands, so that can make things worse as well. So getting ferries between islands when the weather is bad can be a challenge as well, and often ferries turn back, or in some severe cases ferries have capsized and there's been loss of life. So if we're going to include natural disasters as a part of the climate, then yeah, definitely Thailand is less to worry about. All right, let's now talk about natural beauty. We could have put this up a lot higher, I suppose, in terms of the things you would consider when you think about moving to Southeast Asia. Both places are just incredible in terms of natural beauty, and that natural beauty isn't just beaches and islands, which is the first thing that comes to mind. They are pretty amazing, and I don't know who wins in terms of beaches and who wins in terms of islands. Lots more islands in the Philippines. Maybe the islands in Thailand are even more developed, or more of them that are more developed for tourism. And maybe you have to consider how easy it is to get to the various islands and beach resorts. Maybe Thailand's a little easier. It can be a bit challenging getting to those incredible places in the Philippines. We're talking El Nido, Coron, Boracay, some of the beach places near Cebu. They're quite amazing, and you'd have to compare those with places like Phuket, Krabi, Koh Samui, lots of other places as well. Koh Samet is one of my favourite little islands here in Thailand. So in terms of natural beauty and beaches, it's almost a tie. And then if you want rugged mountains and a little bit of variety and rice terraces, you can find that in both places as well. You'd then be comparing places like Banaue and Baguio in the Philippines with Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai here in Thailand. And so again, hard to compare. It's got to be another tie. It's so close when you're discussing these places. There's so many similarities and then so many vast differences. But in terms of the similarities, it's very hard to decide on an absolute winner sometimes. Okay, so eventually you get to a situation where you need to make a decision. And for this video, I need to make a decision. So my heart is in the Philippines. My wife's from the Philippines. I've got lots of friends in the Philippines, friends that I've kept in touch with for a long period of time. But the 3 years that I've spent now in Thailand have been pretty amazing. And if I was to decide on a place where I would like to spend my retirement, for example, or if I was to take a gap year and just want to chill, just relax, I would go with Thailand. And I think things, despite the language barrier, things seem to just work a little better. Things are a little more efficient. The infrastructure is better. People are just as friendly, even though you can't really always communicate well with people here in Thailand. It's not known as the land of smiles without just cause, and therefore I would say, pretty close call for me. And as I said, my wife's from there, so I've got friends and family in the Philippines. We've just bought a condo there that we're possibly going to rent out, but maybe we'll spend some time there ourselves. And I'm actually considering very soon taking a year off, and I don't know where I'm going to spend it. It could be here in Thailand or it could be the Philippines. Either one would be great. If you're looking for things to be easier in terms of culture and communication, absolutely the Philippines is the way to go. If you're a digital nomad, assuming that you can find good internet, then both places are going to be great. If you're a teacher like me, both places have great international schools if that's what you want to do, or if you want to teach English. So there you go. Of course, it's up to you. People are going to disagree. Drop me a comment, like and subscribe if you really want to. I expect to see some arguments in the comments, and that's fine, go for it. It's just my opinion. I love both places. I would just say Thailand has a slight edge these days. All right, that's it for me. Cheers, take it easy, and I'll see you around.